Hi guys, it's Lennan. Today I thought I would take you on a cool journey with me. I'm going to be showing some of my wards because typically this time of year I like to update them and make new. I get real crafty, real witch crafty this time of year, and I've got some. Here, let me show you. Sacred wreaths. I forage all my own sticks and plant matter. It's plant matter from my yard, like as it wilts and dies. I typically forage for sticks around the yard. Ooh, the sun has come out. And make little wreaths. And usually do like cool stuff with them, like put shapes in them and put charms in them and put certain I like make them into like, it's gonna be like Blair Witch Project up in here. All right. So I typically will either take down old wards that I feel aren't really exuding the energy anymore and put new ones up, make new and put new ones up. Now, I've already started the process. Last night was the new moon, and typically the 2 days after the first new moon of the fall season is when I do all this. So it may not happen every year, but this year it was definitely, I was feeling like the energy is stagnant. My house spirit and my yard spirits were like, what is going on? We are in a rut. We need some revamping. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. My house spirit is literally, they need a vamp. They need a revamp. And so I'm going to give it to them. And as Samhain is like the witch's new year, so to speak, I was like, okay, I hear you, girl. I hear you. So I'll be showing you around the yard a little, showing you some things that still have some good potency that I like charge up, periodically throughout the year, that typically stay up and have good energy. So I'm not gonna be taking those down. And some of them have specific intentions, so I might be sharing a little bit of that. But I want to do some witchy crafting, so I'll probably show you the process of making a few new wards. So, protection magic at its finest. one powerful ward I have is my enchanter's wheel, which comes from this beautiful deck right here. It's the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. As soon as I had this deck in my hot little hands, I knew that it was something special and it was gonna benefit my practice a lot. And it did. This one card, which is the Wheel of Fortune card, which is my birth card. But just the way that this is made, it was so beautiful. So I decided to make one myself. So using weaving magic, I took some vine and some sticks and made like this spiral web design. And every so often when I feel its energy kind of waning, I take some more charms, or I take the existing charms off and like put new things on it, new herbs, just revitalize it a little bit. And it usually, there's a hook here because this particular vine had a beautiful hook in it. This right here. And it sits right like on a wreath hanger on my front door. And so if it needs revitalizing this time of year, this is when I do it. And I wanted to show you something really cool. If you make your own wreaths like this, I have some herbs. I have some yarrow here. I have some dried orange peel husks. And I have some rose petals. And depending on what my intention is, okay, depending on what I want it to do, like if I want it to ward off evil, or if I want it to stop negative energies from coming into the house, or if I want it to just, if I want to manifest something instead of getting rid of something. So it all goes back to like what I would like my intention to be, or what I feel the house needs, you know? So depending on that is usually where I go, like in terms of the needs. Okay. Now I'm not going to show you the whole process because usually I just go over like process based things. I don't really do the actual spell, but I wanted to show you something quite cool that I do with my stick wreaths. Now I usually always have tea lights. And I let them get wet at the top. Okay. And then what I do is I try to take some of my herbs. Now, this is like a work table, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Okay. I don't care about messing it up, getting paint everywhere, which I love about it. This got a spirit all of its own. Okay. Glad it doesn't have a voice, but I love it. So I love that it endures. So I take the wax, instead of using something like hot glue, which isn't very, not that candle wax is natural, but it is more natural than hot glue or glue. I tend to like to use this. Plus you can use it in candle magic, use the wax and the candle, burning it and stuff like that in terms of the magic and in terms of like doing the spell work beforehand, or charging, or, you know, whatever have you. So you can have the candle already going, but then I'll take some of my stuff, right? And say I want something like, and I'll just figure out where I want it, right? And I'll just pour the wax right there and then sprinkle, just much like I would hot glue, sprinkle the stuff there. And then pour some more wax on there. Right? I blew the candle out. It's okay. And then as it dries, that'll stay there. Now, I know there's wax below here, but it doesn't matter. Just in like a ritualistic way, okay, I can pour the wax onto the wood and, you know, hold something there so that it stays with the wax. That's already pretty dried up, so that's pretty good. And it typically acts like hot glue. So that's something that I've been known to do, because another thing that I don't have to be severe with is that if like a strong wind blows and those herbs go off, I've still cemented the intention into it. I've used it for what it's for. So just because those herbs blow off doesn't mean anything to me. It's not something that I'm like going to be like, oh my God, I got to redo it. The intention is already in here, like as I'm doing the spell, as I'm doing the working. So, you know, there's that. I'll also take, like, I can also take nylon string. I've got some nylon string here, and tie the herbs around, you know, just in a tie 'em around. And then, like, these charms that I have that I've chosen for this, like beads, charms, whatever, bones, I'll use string, like twine. I'll use nylon string or twine to, like, cement, you know, to secure these charms to the enchanter's wheel. So, but I mean, I've been known to use, like, this is just a nut. This was, I don't know, something out of a toolbox or something. It's just, I've always had it since I was little. It's like been in a jewelry box of mine ever since I was a little kid, and it means a lot to me. But I've been known to use, like, you know, dried herbs, dried rose madder, orange peels, lemon peels, lime peels. I like peels. Different charms, keys, because I collect keys. I also make these clay figurines. This is a snake. This is an Ouroboros. I make and paint these. I could put that on there as well. Just any kind of charm, you know, bone. I think I'll get some bones involved with some other of my wards, but we'll see. So I just wanted to show you, like, this is the bare bone of my enchanter's wheel that I'll be working on today, right now. But I just wanted to show you that little tidbit about the candle. I thought that was so cool. So I wanted to say that my stick wards are probably the coolest form of protection magic that I have around the house. But wards don't have to be things that you make. They can be things that you say. They can be like incantations, words of power, things like that. I choose to make charms, is really what they are, to put around the house because I like to craft. I love to make things out of sticks, okay? Like, I've always been like that. But then using that in magic is such a powerful thing that I do, that I can mix my love of crafting with my craft. And it kind of gets me away from the conventional ways a little bit, because I never really liked to put, like, salt around my perimeter because it kind of kills the grass and it's not good for it. Plus I have, like, border plants around the property that wouldn't take kindly to salt. I have used, like, you can use plant matter, you can use bird seed to go around, like, the perimeter of your yard or your house. But like I said, wards are protection usually, and where I place them is all on their intention. So I've got, like, my bone dancer is sitting here on my back door, as a form of, because I'm a wind witch, I utilize wind chimes and wind dancers. Wind dancers are those things that I make that like hang on strings and look pretty, but they don't chime. So I call them wind dancers, not wind chimes. And I put specific intention on those. Not all of the charms or these wards, these stick wards that I have, are for protection. Some of the intentions could be for abundance, prosperity, just family. Just like I can use like my family name, or like, you know, when I take it down to like charge it, I just like chant all of the people that live with me's names, right? Mine included. And then like chant their names over it, maybe have a candle going, right? Utilize some candle magic. And then what happens is with whatever I'm making or charging, I typically have that, you know, like siphon some energy from somewhere if I don't already have it, or use moon water and like douse the sticks in the moon water, right? And then let them dry out before I use them, or however I do it. And then once they're charged, I visualize the outside perimeter of these stick shapes, whatever, okay, lighting up, like lighting up, and then like becoming like glowing things. And then that kind of tells me when it's done charging. So typically when I go about making these things, or making any kind of charm, you know, you cleanse yourself, cleanse it. Okay, usually I do this with some form of smoke, but you could use chimes, use incense, whatever. Like usually I use, you know, my garden sage that I make bundles out of, or Palo Santo smoke, or incense smoke, or chimes of some kind, and cleanse it of its energy, and then it becomes a blank slate. Then I enchant it with something, enchant it with an intention, enchant it with a specific energy that I've siphoned from somewhere. And then, like for instance, some of the wards that I've made in this video are for protection, right? So I did these last couple of days, like the 3 days after the new moon that I've been working on them. But I've made all of them. I won't chant, or I won't enchant the ones that are for warding off evil, warding off negative energies, until closer to the full moon, which is happening on the 28th of October of 2023, which is the year we're in. And then on the full moon, usually it's the day after the full moon, okay? Because I like to work in the waxing and waning stages instead of the actual days of the moons. So that's kind of how I'll work with it. But then closer to the full moon, so a little bit after the full moon, that night or the night after usually, I will do the same kind of ritual with the charms that I've used, but the intentions are different based on the lunar cycles. And then I will put those up, you know, enchant them with intentions of protection, of a warding off, you know, with the intention of warding off closer to the full moon, and then I'll put them up then. So I've already kind of made them in this creative new moon time, but I won't enchant them, so to speak, with their specific intention until the full moon. So I kind of work with the lunar cycle that way. Also, it's good to, like, for me, it's good to charge using the moon energy so that I'm not using like my own energy. So I just wanted to like give a little caveat to my wards. I'm typically more creative in the new moon cycle, so I utilize that creative. But you don't have to enchant your things then. You can just make your things when you feel the most creative. That actually helps me to not get so overwhelmed or burn out. Like with, like, you know, typically when you're trying to utilize the cycles and you're like, oh my God, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. They're already made in my time. They're like, I've already done it when I felt the most energetic, when I'm able to siphon energy and stuff like that. And then I just take it from a shelf that I've put it on. I take it off the shelf when it's the full moon, and they're like these little things are already made. I can just take them off and put on there what they need to be put on there and then energy's right. Energy's still blank slate. They're just sitting on there doing nothing. And I choose when to take the charms off the shelf and do something with them. So, but they're the coolest thing that I do in terms of, I will say it's not just protection, it's magic, or home magic. I guess you could say it's cottage witchcraft, whatever. Also, when I'm putting things like charms within charms within charms, okay? Because I have certain charms or plant matter, like dead plant matter, that I use that go towards a specific intention. You can, for me, the most important thing with all the materials is to cleanse them however you cleanse. And then, like, make sure they're clean. Like, in some of my wards, I utilize bone matter. Right? They've already been cleaned. Like, I've already cleaned the bone. I got a bone box of bones that I've already cleaned and, like, cleaned. And I can take them out and cleanse them. And then once I've made whatever it is I've made, the wards, charms, whatever you want to call them, then I charge them. Then I consecrate them. Consecrate them magically. And then, so I clean, cleanse, consecrate, charge. But it doesn't have to be crafty like this. You can just, like, do this, have some energy flowing somehow, however you do manipulation, and it put, like, an imaginary dome around your house. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's just, I wanted to share these stick wards. It's a little like the Lennan Witch Project up in here. I'm sure my neighbors, like, think that it's like Halloween decorations, because I, typically I put the new ones out this time of year. They ain't gotta know, they ain't gotta know what's really going on. But they'll feel it if they walk up on my property. Like a force shield. And I guess it's cool to think about this is not keeping us in. It's keeping things out. And so that's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about with these new exercises, these new things that I've been making this year. So, really cool. So now, like today, because I've been working on this for like days, feeling a surge of it, okay? I will go out with my ladder and place these in various spots of the house. In terms of spots of the house, usually they're outside of the house. These stick wards, these charms. You can do it. You can place them in specific spots. And the spots that I typically utilize are the cardinal directions. So north, south, east, and west. And depending on the intention, I can utilize that as well. So if north is earth to me, and earth is prosperity, money, abundance, luck, whatever, then I can put those on the north side of the house. The east side is air, right? So that's why my bone dancer is on the east side. But you don't have to always go with the correspondences. The east could be with the rising sun. So that is new opportunities, right? New growth, new plans, whatever, coming with the rising sun. The setting sun's the same thing. We're banishing shit. And it doesn't have to go onto a correspondence. It's just because it's the solar cycle. Also, the lunar cycle goes that way. So it's going like this, So you could utilize directions in any kind of way you think about it. And then the south is over here, right? Yes. South is over here. If south is fire, then what do you use fire for? Right? Most of my trees, like my mature trees, are in the south part of my yard. So I have to think like, I have to not be careful, not too careful, but sometimes I think about, okay, well, this is the south side of my house. What could that mean? What charms and wards need to go on that side? So you can think about it that way too. Sometimes I put them in the trees, hanging from the trees, hanging in my bamboo forest, hanging in my mature trees, or hanging in my herb garden, because there's some that I do for like crops, in the herb garden. So I've got some hanging on like little hooks or like, you know, branches that are on some of my herbs. But then you can also hang them on the house if you want. You know, I've got a big one that's like in this shape for abundance that I'm gonna tack to the house, like a flag. So anyway, ooh, yappy dog. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you're doing any kind of warding or shielding. Much love.